Welcome to Building Profitable Relationships, the podcast where we talk with successful entrepreneurs and business owners who have built strong and profitable relationships with their customers, partners, and peers. In our conversations, we explore the heart and science of relationship building in the world of business. Welcome to Building Profitable Relationships, the podcast where my guests share how they've built relationships with their clients, customers, peers, and communities. My guest today is Cattogio. She is a master at this. So if you want to understand how to build those relationships with your customers or clients, however you refer to them, and partners, then you're in the right place. Christine, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Yvonne.
It's my delight. Now, I am Yvonne Jones of 50andwisercoaching.com. I'm your host for the Building Profitable Relationships podcast. And so we're going to go right ahead and get started. So, Christine, would you please go ahead and introduce yourself to us? First, tell us a little bit about who you are, and then go ahead and tell us something about your business, please.
Thank you, Yvonne. Well, I am a speaker, an author, a coach, and an entrepreneur. I wear a lot of hats, and I am a life transition coach. And I started in business over 20 years ago, and I have been a transition expert through the years and through all stages of transitions. So I've worked with clients from everything from career transitions to caregiving, to loss of a spouse, through all major transitions. And I help them navigate the challenges of those transitions. And in so doing, then I help them move forward and get to the other side of where they need to be. And so it's been an interesting concept because I basically have been following my own personal transitions through each stage. And so I'm currently focused on retirement lifestyle planning, the non-financial aspects of it.
Excellent. Thank you for sharing that. And I love what you said, Christine, that you help your clients navigate the challenges of transitioning, because there's so much in that whole transitioning of going through transitions. There's so much embodied in that whole transition process, whether it's from grief, the loss of a loved one, or it's a job, it's a career transition. Regardless of what it is, it's going to take effort. It's going to take adapting to change. So it's great to know that individuals who are going through this can have someone like you to support them. So I have to know, Christine, that you are excellent at building strong relationships. Now, what do you believe are the key elements of building strong relationships with your clients and your partners?
Well, there are a few of them, but I think the most apparent and the most key are really understanding people where they are at, whether it be a client or a partner or even at a networking event. It's always understanding what others' needs are and being able to meet them where they're at and what they are looking to accomplish and achieve, and how you can help them in that avenue. And also meeting them exactly where they're at. Sometimes when we meet people in a different setting, a networking setting, or at an event, we always seem to want to talk about ourselves. And I think one of the key things that we really need to focus on is listening to the other person and learning more about what they do, so we can see how we can find mutually beneficial collaborations.
That's a beautiful answer, because in reality, most people are concerned about their favorite channel. or their favorite radio station. And we know what that is, right? It's WIIFM. What's in it for me? And if we can allow people to share, if we can meet them, as you just said, where they're at, they're more likely to open up to us because they will feel that we're interested in them. And we know that it's until we are interested in other people and show we care, they're not really going to reciprocate and be interested in us. And you mentioned another skill, and it is a skill, it's listening, because we tend to talk more than we listen. So if we can develop that skill of listening, then we can really endear people to us. So thank you, Christine, for sharing that, sharing those
My
two
pleasure.
points.
Yes. Mhm.
So you mentioned about attending networking events. So I know that's not the only type of network you have, but how do you personally stay connected with your network and keep those relationships strong, especially during the times when you're going through rapid growth in your own business or going through transition changes?
Well, there are a number of ways that I have found to be the most effective. And believe it or not, even it can be something as little as paying attention on social media to people that you haven't reached out to in a while. If they post something about new ventures that they're doing, or even some personal things that they may be going through, picking up the phone or shooting them a message and just reaching out and letting them know that, you're there for them if they need you, and asking how you can help them. And it's all about the nurturing the relationships. It's all about letting people know you're available to them. As we mentioned with the network, it's not just a one-way street, it's a give and take. And so being able to stay focused and pay attention to what others are needing and help nourish those relationships, that is a very powerful way of staying with people and building the relationship. It's communicating, even if you don't have the time and opportunity to get out and have coffee or to, get on the phone. Just a little nudge like, hey, I'm here. I'm busy too, but I'm here for you. And sometimes that's all people need, is to know that if they do, have a need or a concern, that they can reach out to you because you're open to it. And I think that's really what it is, letting people know that you are open to nurturing that relationship. So I think that's an important aspect, whether it be clients, whether it be other people in your field, whatever it might be. I think that availability is huge, letting people know that you're available to them. And then, of course, there's always the usual, send an email, especially with clients. It's really about maintaining that email contact, letting them know what you're up to and how you can help them. And even just recently, I've sent a number of people emails that I hadn't heard back from, that I had spoken to, and just like, hey, give me an update. Where are you at? Are you making progress on the things we spoke about? And so, it lets them know that it's not just about you, that it is a concern and an interest in what they're doing and how you are available to help them. So I think all those little ways that we can just kind of touch base and nudge people really does help nurture those relationships.
I love that. I love that. I love the use of the phrase nurture relationships. That's critical.
Mm-hmm.
And you mentioned something that I think many times we overlook, the importance of that, paying attention on social media.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yes.
that is one of the things that I highly, recommend and teach. So I'm grateful to hear that this is something that you bring to the fore as well, because we can learn a lot if we're paying attention to what people are posting on social media. We can find out if they were ill. We may not have heard from them in a while. And like you just said, sometimes people don't respond individually, but you may see something on social media that maybe they were ill, or they had a family member who was ill. And now those things give you an opportunity to reach out to them And you also talked about sending emails and so forth. And one of the things that I found is establishing how people prefer to be connected with, because some people love texting, some people like to use WhatsApp, some like emails, and sometimes our emails go into the go out there in cyberspace into the spam folder and they never get it. So that's also showing that we care, all of which you emphasize, showing that we care about them as individuals so that we want to know how do you want to be communicated with so that we can keep
Mhm.
those lines of communication open and continue to nurture the relationship. So that brings me, Christine, to I know you're busy. So doing these things that you have mentioned, they take time. So how do you balance building relationships with managing the day-to-day demands of running a business?
Well, that is the trick that I'm still working on. It really is, there again, a lot of just paying attention. I don't spend a lot of time on social media. And so it is, like you said, it's paying attention to the little nuances here and there. But there are certain times of the day that I do make it a point, whether it be, just sending a happy birthday to someone, just acknowledging them. And so, it's something that I really do have to set the time aside for. But most of the time, it may only be like 20-minute clips a day in between. Or if I'm picking up my granddaughter at school, I do it while I'm on the car line, like squeezing into our own schedule. And when something is important enough to you, you do it. And so, I am very good at scheduling my time. And so I like to find ways that I can schedule in the time, even if it's just short little spurts here and there. And then when I do have more time, that's when I can spend more time on the emails or the conversations. But it really is, making the time for things that are important and the people that are important. And, it's not just about the business, as we mentioned earlier. Yes, the business helps, but the relationships. I've been in business for 20 years and I'm still in touch with people from when I first started in business. We've never broken those ties, even if there's been a long time in between. So, it's always that, like we said, that touching base, like,
Mhm.
hey, I haven't heard from you lately. What's happening? What are you up to? What are you doing these days? And those kind of things really go a long way to maintaining the relationships and keeping them strong.
Absolutely. And
Mhm.
I honor and appreciate your authenticity when you just spoke about that. You have to, it's a challenge that you're still working on overcoming and you're still navigating the pathway to do this. But I love that you said you take advantage of short spurts of time. It's like we're waiting at the doctor's office. In your case, you're waiting in the line for your granddaughter at school. There's a time, little downtime. So we can take advantage of short bursts of time, short spurts to do keep in touch and to nurture with the relationships. And it doesn't have to be a huge long thing. So thank you. So talking about authenticity, in a world where people seem to find it hard to trust, what role do you think that authenticity plays in building those deeper and more meaningful relationships with clients and partners?
I think it's invaluable. I think the authenticity is what more people need and want these days, because we are so inundated with so many other things coming at us. And for us being able to be a little vulnerable and, in many cases, share a story. We talk about this a lot, especially in speaking. It's share your personal story so people get to know who you are. And sometimes we have a tendency to not do that so much with a client or whatever. But, if you're having a family issue, you don't need to go into the details. If you need to change an appointment or do something, be able to say, I have, a family concern I need to deal with. Do you have a problem with rescheduling? And I think people are more understanding when you are honest about it instead of trying to make, excuses. I think it really opens up a whole different relationship and a different bond, whether it be a client or a partner. People are really more open to an understanding of what it is you may be going through.
That is so true. Thank you for that. In essence, to summarize what you just shared is just be vulnerable and authentic, and it doesn't detract from any authority or expert status that we may have built up with our clients. They relate to us better when they see we are just individuals like them who have challenges, who have to reschedule. We don't have to pretend that we are this where everything is perfect. Because you know what, Christina, so I'm sure you've found out that people recognize that they're imperfect, so they find it very difficult to relate to people who act as if everything is perfect in their world. Wouldn't you agree?
Oh, totally. I totally agree with that. Yeah, I think, sometimes our imperfections are an asset, only because, it helps people see that side of us, the soft side of us and the human side of us, and that it is not all about the business, or making the money or whatever, that there is that we are looking to create a bond in a relationship.
Excellent. So with that, what advice would you give to someone who is just starting out in their business and to help them understand the importance of building strong relationship with their customers or clients or with joint venture partners, their community on a whole? What advice would you give?
And that is exactly what I would say is join a community. And the community can be any type of community. It could be a volunteer community, it could be in a sport, it could be in so many ways. But be out and about with other people from different areas of life, and talk about what it is you do without being salesy, but be out there and be visible, share your knowledge. When we share our talents and our knowledge with other people, regardless of the type of community, it really is a benefit to all concerned and all humanity, to be honest, because we're helping other people. So I would always say, get out there, find out where there's a need that you can help other people, because when you can help them in a different type of community or a nonprofit organization or with a common goal, then you automatically have already established a relationship. You've already established a trust. And so by being able to build on that, we all heard this for years and years, people do business with people they know, like, and trust.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's really what it's about. Don't hesitate to jump in and volunteer and be part of a different community that can use your talents and abilities, because you never know what kind of relationships and where that's going to take you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing those points. And in essence, what I just heard you say is to go out there and grow your business by building relationships with a servant's heart. Go with a heart
Yes.
that you want to serve others. And
Yes.
it's amazing how things can turn around for you because you're giving without an expectation, but the law of reciprocity somehow works in your behalf so that people, when they see that you are anxious to help, support, to give, they are in turn motivated to do the same for you. Christine, thank you so very much. Thank you for being here as my guest today. I enjoyed our time together. Thank you to our listeners, those of you who've been listening or watching, listening on Spotify and Apple, or watching on YouTube. Thank you for that. And always remember, when you focus on relationships, the money will follow.